Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Monday, September 20th. This is your Daily Buckeye Fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Akron game is in 5 days. The game against Michigan in 68 days. I think a lot of people walked away from the Tulsa game on Saturday a little unsure how to feel. I mean, yes, it was a 3-touchdown win over a pretty decent opponent. Yes, there were definitely some things to feel optimistic about for the Buckeyes, but the problems are absolutely not all solved just yet. Buckeye Scoop's Bill Greene had some interesting thoughts on the game that he posted Sunday on our Ask the Insiders board. I wanted to have him on and dive into this a little bit. So, Bill, thank you for joining me. Can you first let people know how you go about reviewing a game like this every week?
Yeah, I don't know if I haven't learned any special technique. I just do what I do. I'm over 20 years now. I watch it just like you guys do the first time, usually with friends, family, whatever, and I'm just watching the game as a fan. Then every Sunday morning, I rewatch it. And, with a legal pad, with, all the key players' names on the legal pad. And I watch a play, and it was like Mumford plus Stroud plus Henderson minus, I do that. And then I try to go through and see how many pluses you got, how many minuses you got. And that's kind of how I determine. And I've done the same thing with the high school games that I've covered for the last 20 years too. That's really what I do in a high school game. I film every play from up top, every high school game I go to. Then Saturday morning, I watch every play with a legal pad. And if Jimmy's got 20 pluses and Bobby's got 2, I don't care if Bobby's a 5-star and Jimmy's a 3-star, Jimmy outplayed it. And that's kind of what I do with the Ohio State stuff. So sometimes my analysis or review can be a little off the wall, I guess, to people, but that's how I do it. I don't read anybody else's stuff before I do my stuff. And this is just what I come up with from what I see. I didn't invent football. I'm not a coach, not the smartest guy in the room, just an old dude that's been doing it for a while.
I don't think there's anyone else in that room with you. So you might be the smartest guy in the room right now.
But, I have to be the smartest guy in this room right now.
So this was a really strange game because there were points where, especially towards the end, it was like Ohio State, like, okay, they've got it clicking, they've got it now. And then there were times when it looked like they might finish in third place in the American Athletic Conference this year. I mean, is that inconsistency just a function of being young? Is there something else going on? What do you chalk that up to?
Yeah, I'm sure Ryan Day would like to have the answer to that question too. I mean, for 53 minutes, they kind of wallowed around in that game and flopped around. And, it was just a weird game. And then on the final drive, not the final drive, but the drive with about 8 minutes to go, they're in Ohio State territory. They're down by 7. And I thought, man, they could lose this game, and then there was a key third down and Tyleik Williams made that sack. And it was like a 20-yard sack, 15, 20-yard sack, maybe more. And then they couldn't go for it on 4th down. And it wrecked everything for them. And from that point on, Ohio State closed that game out the way a playoff team should close out a game. Now, to be a true playoff team, you got to play 60 minutes, not 7. And the first 53 was just what we've seen all year. It's maddening. It's frustrating. The thing for me is, as I watch this stuff again, the second time, it's like good, really good. And then a mistake that you just can't believe that person just made, 6 good plays in a row out of any guy you want to name. And then a mistake that's so awful that you can't believe you just saw it, and you want to bench that guy. Like, why is he in the game? And then it's good play. And then boom. And I think they're getting out of all 28 guys they play on defense every week. It's just kind of maddening. I mean, if I had to dial it all down to like the most simplest form, they are one of the worst teams in the country on third down. And that should not be. So drives are continuing that probably shouldn't be continuing if you were just average on third down and not awful on third down. Be average on third down. Get off the daggone field. But you extend these drives, and then the yards pile up, and the plays pile up, and you're out there longer than you should be because you can't get off the field on third down. Why can't they get off the field on third down? They have no pass rush. Shocking to me. That has nothing to do with youth and inexperience. That is Zach Harrison, Tyreek Smith, Haskell Garrett, Antoine Jackson, JJP, all of them guys that have played a lot of football for Ohio State. They come nowhere near the quarterback. There was on the play they threw over Ransom for the touchdown in the 4th quarter. they actually went to a bear front with 6 down linemen. And those guys came, and nobody got near the quarterback with 6. There's times I watch football every week. Guys get home with 3. But 6 D linemen, all of whom were 4 or 5-star guys, not walk-ons, 5-star, 4-star guys, 6 of them coming against Tulsa. That's got to be a sack. That play's got to be over. Or he's got to dump it off within 1 second to the running back. No, he stands in there, hits the guy over the top of Ransom for a touchdown. That can't happen. You can't rush 6 and get nowhere near the quarterback, but they really have no pass rush. And I think that's how I would dial all this defensive troubles down to, is no pass rush, and you can't get off the field on 3rd down. So things are being extended longer drives than they should be extended.
That lack of a consistent pass rush, it wasn't just against Tulsa. I mean, Zach Harrison didn't play against Tulsa, so it's easy to say, well, they didn't have Zach Harrison. Well,
no, it's all year.
They didn't get home against Oregon. They didn't get home against Minnesota. Like, this is now a consistent problem. As you said, they've got the players. I don't think Larry Johnson has forgotten how to coach defensive line technique in the last 6 months. So what is it? Are they just getting schemed against brilliantly somehow, or is it just for execution? What is it?
I mean, when you're talking about the D line like that should just be winning your one-on-one matchup. And these are money years for Zach Harrison, Tyreek Smith, Haskell Garrett. These are NFL money years. So I don't know. I wish I don't know that Ryan Day knows. The one thing that I will say is when teams are not playing well and they're totally inconsistent, it really looks like the effort is bad. And that's the first thing fans are going to blame. And I don't see that. I saw lack of effort against Purdue when guys are waltzing down the field from 80 yards out. No one's chasing them. That looks bad. Iowa, you give up, you quit. We're beat. Well, I don't see that out of these guys. I didn't see it against Oregon. I mean, they made a run at the end. They just couldn't get a score when they needed it. And then yesterday, when they needed to buckle down, get a stop, and then drive the ball, they did it. So I don't think it's effort. And effort's usually the first thing people whine on. And I would too. If I thought they were dogging it, I'd be the first one to. But I don't think that's the case. I think this group cares. I think they try. I think they play really hard. They're just not playing well. And that's what Ryan Day has to solve. I don't think it's, kick them in the butt and make them try harder. I don't think that's the case at all. I just think the execution's been awful.
Something else Ryan Day had to solve was last week figuring out, okay, so the Kerry Coombs calling the defense thing isn't working. So how do you fix that? Well, he moved Kerry Coombs up to the box, had Matt Barnes calling the plays on defense. How much of a change did you see schematically on the defensive side of the ball on Saturday?
Schematically, they did play a lot of too high safety stuff, which I like to see. They did play Cam Martinez a lot. They played Tyleik Williams a lot. So there were some changes there, but man, you get up 400 yards passing to Tulsa, the Tulsa team that hasn't thrown for much over 200 yards this year against Oklahoma State. And then their opener with that powerhouse UC Davis, they couldn't throw the ball on them, but they had no trouble throwing the ball on Ohio State. So, I mean, there were some changes strategically, but I don't know that they really helped. I mean, you still saw confusion and a lot of busted plays where 10 guys do their job and one guy does a horrible job. And it's maddening inconsistency. And do I think Barnes over Combs solves everything? No. Would I stick with it? Yes. I think Matt Barnes deserves more than a one-game shot here. So, that it's just what you do as a coach. You know what I mean? And these are not Ohio State problems. I watched Oklahoma yesterday struggle with that powerhouse Nebraska team. I watched Clemson not be able to move the ball against that dominant Georgia Tech outfit. So there are problems all over college football right now with everyone other than Alabama, and they darn near lost yesterday too. So it's just one of the, for Ohio State, you got to go back to work, you bust your butt, and you try to figure it out as coaches. You try to get the right guys on the field in the right spots, and you figure it out. That's what coaching's all about.
Somewhere else they kind of have to figure it out right now is linebackers.
Wow.
Taraja Mitchell didn't play Saturday. It was a game time decision, didn't end up playing. So, okay, just like Zach Harrison not playing, like, okay, you can sort of write off a little bit with that, but there was still a ton of rotation. We keep hearing, they're going to shorten the rotation. And they still keep playing a ton of guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think they're getting all that close to having any answers there. I think there's still a lot of questions, and I don't know. It feels like they're starting to maybe solve some questions in other spots on the field. Linebackers, I feel like it's just one big shrug emoji. What do you think?
Yeah, right now, I think, that the best two right now, I think, are Eichenberg and Simon. And people kind of got a little nasty when I said that, on our insiders board. And it's not like I'm saying this is AJ and Bobby out there right now, or Ryan Shazier out there. I'm just saying these are probably the best two in combo to play. And maybe, it's not good. Linebacker play is not good right now. So you got to play the best two. And I did think that against Tulsa, they did stop the run well the whole game. And I thought the linebackers filled and covered up gaps when against Oregon. They were just awful against the run. Oregon ran for 7 yards a crack. Tulsa had no running game at all. So, and I think the linebackers helped there. I thought the D-line played better there. So maybe that's a start. Because defensively, if you cannot stop the run, you have no chance. You have no chance to be a good defense. So you look for some, bright spot, a little bit of sunshine. That would be it. They did stop the run. They fixed the mess that was last week against the run. So maybe this is just going to be a slow process. But I almost feel for Ryan Day, like you fix this hole here, and then, oh my gosh, I got another one over there. You're like the guy with putting the finger in the dike. It's maddening for him. It has to be. Couldn't run the ball against Oregon. And threw 500 yards. Last week, can't throw the ball, but you got a guy running the ball like the greatest running back I've ever seen run up and down the field in Ohio Stadium. So it's a crazy year right now. And Ryan Day, he gets paid to figure this stuff out. It's not all, peaches and cream, man. It just doesn't go that way. It hasn't gone that way for Nick Saban the last 15 years. You figure it out. You find a way to get better.
Yeah. And, it's so interesting because you talk about those problems kind of just like popping up out of nowhere. And it feels like all the stuff in fall camp where we went, the defensive line will be good. They've got so much talent.
That was the one constant.
And that has just not played out at all. And then, looking at fall camp and at some of the practices, it was like, man, if they can just get the corners figured out,
yeah,
they're going to be in great shape. And then now you're looking at the team and it's like, corner almost feels like one of the surest things they have. Like they're starting, you can see the pieces there, like the rotation shortening. It feels like Denzel Burke, Cam Brown, Seven Banks back on Saturday. Cam Martinez looked fantastic. I mean, it's like the position that you thought like this is the big mystery box that will determine the whole season. That's the one that now you feel best about, and everything else is like, what? How does this keep getting worse? What's going on? But let's be positive. Let's talk about the corners and what you saw to the corners on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have told me back in June or July that Denzel Burke would be doing what he's doing, I'd be laughing right now. I mean, he gets better every week. I think his worst game was probably against Minnesota, and it was his first game, and their receivers weren't very good at all. So that made you kind of wonder, is he not really that good? He just played against a weak offense with no speed. Well, then you saw him against Oregon. It was like, daggone, this guy, he covered all their speedsters. And then, Tulsa had some nice wideouts, way better than Minnesota's wideouts. And Burke was good again. So he just continues to get better. Cam Brown was a guy that I was really questioning, not because of his talent, which I've always liked, but that Achilles injury, I mean, that is a killer for a corner because it's all change of direction. Put that foot in the ground, go left when you're going right. And that is so hard to do coming off an Achilles. But Cam is really good, and then Cam Martinez, he had the pick six. So naturally you think, oh, he's a great player. Well, then if you go back and watch every play like I do, sometimes one flash play doesn't cover up for about 19 horrible plays. But that was not the case for Cam. Even if he doesn't have the pick six, he still was really good. And that's the same with Tyleik Williams. Yes, he had the big sack. It sticks out. We all saw it. But forget that sack. What about his other plays out there? They were really good. So, I think there is a lot of parts, pieces, parts, but not a complete team yet.
You look at some of the younger guys. I mean, Denzel Burke, Cam Martinez, Tyleik Williams, JT Tuimoloau was maybe getting the most consistent pressure of anyone out from the defensive end spot. Now, it was a lot in the second half, and okay, the offensive line probably wore down a little bit, but you kind of get the sense like if they don't know what to do, maybe you throw the young guys in there and just kind of see what happens.
Well, I think Sawyer got more time this week than he got against Oregon. JTT, I haven't looked at the snap counts yet, but it sure looked like he was out there a lot. Tyleik Williams, I know, was out there more than he's ever been out there yet. So, maybe we're going to see that now. I mean, and if you produce, you got to play. That's just the way it has to be at a place like Ohio State. That's the way Nick does it. Nick Saban won a national championship benching his quarterback for a true freshman, and he won that national championship with Ruggs and Devontae Smith at wide receiver, Leatherwood on the O-line, Najee Harris at tailback, and two at quarterback, all true freshmen. So you got to play the best guys if you want to win. So maybe these guys keep getting better, and it pushes the older guys to either get better or take a seat.
All right, let's end on a positive note. This has not necessarily been a good vibes podcast. We've been talking a lot about the defense, so let's end on a positive note. We talked about all the stuff we heard and saw during fall camp that hasn't panned out, but we also heard and saw Trevian Henderson during fall camp, and everything you heard during fall camp was Trevian Henderson is a star in the making. When we got to watch practice, he looked like a star in the making. It sure looked on Saturday like he is the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he looked like the real deal against Minnesota because I was so wowed by him. And then I looked at the snap counts for Minnesota, and he played in only 7 plays in that game, where I thought he was out there for 17 plays or 20 plays. No, he was only on the field for 7 plays, but you noticed him because he popped so much. Against Oregon, they just couldn't run the ball real well that day. They got really pass happy, threw it 50 sometimes. But then, yesterday, Saturday, I mean, my gosh. I mean, you think he's going to score every time he gets the ball. You miss one tackle, you take one bad angle, you miss a gap, he's gone. I mean, I'm old, but boy, he sure reminds me of Robert Smith when Robert Smith was young. I mean, and he's bigger and more powerful than what Robert was as a younger player, but he's got that same kind of explosion where it's not just that he's fast, which he is, but he is at top speed, like after 1 or 2 steps. He doesn't build up to speed. He's got it now, and he just needs a crack. And you make one mistake defensively, miss one tackle, and he's going to go. So, yeah, my gosh. I mean, I was sick when I saw him go down and saw him grab his knee, and I thought it was bad. And Ross Fulton actually sent me a text right after that play, and it was like, oh, my gosh, that looks bad. But he popped up, and he was fine. So, but, Trey Henderson is he's so much fun to watch. And he almost can't wait till next week to see what he's going to do. And the week after as well. I mean, so, yeah, if you're looking for a bright spot, that dude's the bright spot.
Yeah, Henderson said after the game he could feel that there was something bad about to happen, and he kind of tucked his leg up or pulled his leg up to avoid it. And he's, if he hadn't done that, it could have been a big problem, and he just barely avoided it. And I think Ryan Day is probably very happy that he just barely avoided that, because I'm intrigued to see Trevian Henderson against the Akron defense. Like, just
that's not going to be pretty.
You may put up some video game. I mean, he had 277 against Tulsa, and I mean, you talked about him almost breaking. The first carry of the game, he went for 8-9 yards, and he just barely got tripped up, or he would have gone for 70 more than that. I mean, you could have had a school record setting day on Saturday from Trevian Henderson. It was not.
No doubt. And I really think the next step for him will be as a pass catcher. When this offense really gets like, they were pass happy last week, run happy this week. When Ryan Day gets this offense really cranked up to where he's got it where he wants it, I think Trey Henderson as a pass catcher out of the backfield is the next step where he's going to be uncoverable. Because with Smith and Jigba, Olave, and Wilson on the field, that means you're going to have like an average to below average cover person on Trey Henderson. Nobody's got 4 or 5 cover guys. So he's going to be matched up against somebody that will have no chance. So I think that's the next step that we look for. It might not be against Akron, and it might not be until Indiana or Penn State, but I think you're going to see Trey Henderson out of the backfield catching the ball. He's got great hands and that explosiveness. I mean, that's the next thing I want to see.
Yeah, that is going to be fun to watch this week and in the coming weeks. So you've got some good stuff to watch. You've got some let's just call it intriguing stuff to watch on the other side of the ball and some other areas on the team where you don't have all the answers. It's still September. You don't have to have all the answers just yet, but we will be working towards those answers, as I'm sure the coaching staff will as well. But we will be working towards all of those answers on our Ask the Insiders board at BuckeyeScoop.com. We have a fantastic team of insiders that provides insight and analysis you just can't get anywhere else, looking at all facets of the team and recruiting and all the fun stuff, national college football and more, all at BuckeyeScoop.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the little bell to subscribe to our channel. That way you'll get notified every time we post a new video and podcast, every time we do new player interviews, coach interviews. We stream those live several times a week during the week, and then after the games as well. We also do live pregame shows, live postgame shows, lots and lots of stuff, all for free, all at youtube.com/BuckeyeScoop. All you have to do is subscribe and then get notified, and then you never miss anything. Doesn't that make life easy? Free and easy, not too bad. Just hit that bell, or at the end of this video, hit the little Buckeye Scoop logo that'll pop up on the screen at the end of this video. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.